So as you can see, I have the YSS shocks, the G Sport shocks on the bike. Installation, really simple. Just take the old shocks off, put the new ones on. It looks super nice on the bike. I was a little bit unsure about the pops of red, but I kind of like that. I do wish that the red kind of matched with the red emblem, but we'll take it. So obviously I rode the bike over here to this parking lot. It's about 5 minutes away. And immediately within those 5 minutes, I could tell a big difference. A big difference. The biggest problem that I had with my original shocks or the OEM shocks was just how bouncy the whole thing was. And when you're leaning into turns, that bounce, like it really kind of made me nervous about taking corners really hard, etc. But this, as soon as you sit on it, it feels a lot more firm, which I like. I was a little bit hesitant about upgrading the shocks because, they cost about like $400, I think, a little less than $400. So it's a big investment. I knew that I had to do something with the OEM shocks because I just could not handle the way that it rode. And I'm super glad that I did. I haven't done anything whatsoever with the shocks. I haven't moved anything. This is just kind of how it came from the factory. You have the overall spring adjustment over here that you can do, and you have the rebound adjusting that you can do here as well. So I'm really excited to test these out and to kind of like dial it in how I want. Today we have like a pretty nice day, about 60 degrees or so in December. I'm going to take that as a sign to test out these shocks a little bit more. It's been some time since I've gotten a chance to ride the bike. We've had some really, really cold temperatures as of late. Haven't really had the opportunity to ride, so this feels so good right now. All right, so immediate impressions, the bike just feels really smooth. Even with the stiffer suspension, I think that's the way to go. The turns just feel buttery, buttery smooth. When you're going faster, I didn't realize this, but having better suspension helps. Because all of the little bumps previously with the OEM shocks, you felt all that, and the bike just felt so like bouncy. I'm not gonna lie, it felt a little scary going higher speeds on the Monkey with the OEM shocks. In terms of soaking up all the bumps and stuff like that on the road, in terms of like how comfortable it is, I would say it's about as comfortable as the OEM shocks, if that makes any sense. But the rebound is where these shocks really come in handy, because the OEM shocks, it would just kind of like, I felt like I was riding on a pogo stick. Every bump that you encountered, you had that same force back almost, right? So there were definitely a couple of times when I was riding the Honda Monkey with the OEM shocks where it almost felt like I was going to get thrown off the bike. But with these, they're a lot more consistent. I feel like there's a little bit more consistency in the way that the shocks respond to the bumps. It's not as jarring as the OEM shocks, and overall it's just very, very pleasant. Again, I haven't messed around with any of the settings on the YSS shocks. I'm sure at some point in the near future I'm going to want to do that. But right now, just testing the shocks as is, man, this feels really good. If you're thinking about upgrading shocks, whether it's, these or the all-ins or progressives, I would highly recommend it because the stock shocks on the Honda Monkey, to me, they just weren't great. All right, so I'm doing these like little curves, little S's on the road. When I did that with the OEM shocks, didn't track as well. This feels really, really articulate and accurate. Like it feels sharp. Man, now I want to do the front end suspension. I'm sure we'll do that at some point. Ooh. man, these shocks feel amazing. I feel like the shocks do a lot of the hard lifting for you in terms of, you know, smoothing it out. Really enjoying this so far. Yeah, that feels really good. All right, mission accomplished, guys. The shocks, they do everything that I needed to do and then some. I really just needed the monkey to smooth out in terms of the bounce, especially when it comes to taking curves. It really does help out in terms of making everything feel just a little bit more consistent on the road. And overall, it just makes you feel a lot more planted. And I'm super excited to be able to play around with the other settings to really customize the bike. But overall, just straight from the get-go, man, these curves feels really good on the monkey now. I feel like it's I feel like these shocks have given the monkey a little bit more life. Now, of course, I'm not gonna do any off-roading yet with the monkey. I still haven't really found any roads that I can go off-roading on, but just for everyday street use, man, this is great. What is going on there? You know, I like to kind of push the boundaries on the Honda Monkey, and sometimes, you know, when you're doing that, it gets real sketchy. It gets real sketchy real quick. All right, I'm gonna pull in over here somewhere. So the shocks definitely give it a little bit more safety for me in my eyes. It helps me to negotiate the turns a lot better. And I mean, can we all agree they just look freaking awesome? Get out of here, fly. So far, definitely happy with the YSS shocks, the G Sport. I'll drop a link in case you guys want to pick them up yourself. I think that you can find them on Amazon and eBay, but I would highly recommend these shocks. All right, I'm gonna bounce out of here, guys. Thanks for tuning into the video, and until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace.